In the wake of the quake, the ground still rumbles, the death toll rises, and man finishes the job the earth began.
This is the CBS Evening News with Connie Chung in New York and Dan Rather in Los Angeles.
Good evening. Southern California today began digging out and coming back from the great earthquake of 1994. Everywhere you look, especially from this vantage point up here, there's some extraordinary scenes. This is I-5, one of the main freeways in all of California. Can you imagine what it would have been like to be in that truck or in that Winnebago-style vehicle when the freeway literally dropped away on both sides of it? Aftershocks collapsed the Route 14 interchange right onto Interstate 5. Interstate 5 was the quickest route between northern and southern California. Also from up here, you get a good view of what happened to a train when the earthquake came rumbling through. Place after place, mile after mile, these are the kinds of sights you see. Now, all around these places of tremendous damage, there are homes, buildings, installations, freeways that weren't damaged. That's the way it goes in an earthquake. For an overview and summary of what's been happening here in the wake of the quake, CBS News correspondent Sandra Hughes has a report.
Overnight, the sky was lit by a fireball, touched off by one of the hundreds of aftershocks. National Guard troops watched over a quiet curfew. There have been 73 arrests since the quake, much fewer than expected. But dawn didn't banish all the fear.
It's too scary at our house. Every time there's anything moves, like a car drives by, even everybody runs to the doorways and everything.
Many awoke in unfamiliar places. Thousands in shelters, others camped out, afraid of being trapped inside.
They were talking about looters on the street, so we were ready for them.
Few were ready for the commute. It took hours longer for some, with traffic diverted around damaged freeways. But since many stayed home today, it will only get worse. At the Emergency Operations Center downtown, officials are coping with a crisis. 34 people have died, 500,000 people are without power, and up to 100,000 without water. Local officials are pleading with Washington.
Immediately, the city of Los Angeles needs more people working on this emergency.
In the San Fernando Valley, almost everywhere there are lines for water, gasoline, and groceries.
A lot of the freeways are down, so we don't know which directions the food's coming from, especially out here to the valley.
And there is cleanup.
Because I don't know if the building is safe.
It was mother-in-law's good set of dishes.
They're cleaning up in Santa Monica, too, 20 miles from the epicenter, and next door in the Pacific Palisades, where Ron and Regina Orr searched through the mud.
Just photo albums. That's all we got. That's all we care about. Our kids are safe.
Officials have extended the dusk to dawn curfew declared yesterday, but police say they are not going after everyone who is outside after dark. They are just trying to discourage people who might try and take advantage of this crisis situation. Dan?
Sandra, have they even begun to figure out how people are going to get to work, get the kids to school, and go about their life with all these freeways out?
Well, they have started working on some of the 6 freeways and 1 highway that were damaged in yesterday's earthquake. What they are doing, they're taking huge cranes on mechanical arms, and they are basically just crushing what's left of those freeways, and then they are going to have to start months and possibly years of work to repair the freeway system.
Thanks, Andy. To underscore that, what's happening behind me here, this is what's left of the Santa Monica Freeway at Fairfax Boulevard. They've already started clearing away the debris and trying to start to rebuild. That's the sight and sound here. The Santa Monica Freeway was one of the world's busiest freeways. And what you see and hear here demonstrates graphically how long it may take to get these freeways operating again, and why everybody says this is going to affect the economy of this whole Southern California region for good and for bad as time goes along. Now, the earthquake has taken its deadliest toll in terms of human life at an apartment building in the San Fernando Valley. Residents were crushed when the building collapsed on them as they were sleeping. CBS News correspondent Vicki Mabry was on the scene today when rescue teams officially ended the search for victims.
The 16th and presumably last body was carried from the wreckage of the Northridge apartments early this afternoon.
In our opinion, we have checked every void space and place that we think there could possibly be a victim.
Rescue teams with specially trained dogs spent more than 24 hours searching for victims, dead or alive.
The search is officially over.
The earthquake was so strong it collapsed second and third stories down onto the first floor, where most of the victims were found.
That's why you're seeing this high death toll. These people only had 5 seconds to realize what was going on and run out of that building, and that was it.
The Northridge complex was built before the city strengthened its building codes.
The whole building is going to be demolished eventually, I would suspect.
The question is whether residents will be able to salvage any belongings.
If this place is knocked down and we don't have a chance to go into it, you're looking at a treasure heap.
But as they watch the bodies of their former neighbors taken away, the survivors realize how lucky they are.
And I don't know if it's really set in. I want to cry, but I haven't yet. Maybe soon. And then start rebuilding.
The Northridge complex would have to be demolished before it could be rebuilt. Here at the quake's epicenter, it accounts for almost half of the total deaths caused by the earthquake. Vicki Mabry, CBS News, Los Angeles.
President Clinton has announced that he is coming to Southern California tomorrow to survey the earthquake damage. Just looking at it, you know it will add up to billions of dollars. An official of the Federal Emergency Management Agency says its disaster fund is running dry, millions short of the amount needed. So the federal agency will soon be asking Congress and taxpayers for more money. Now, as a taxpayer, you may be asking why there is so much damage here. Why structures in this part of the country, like this Santa Monica Freeway, are not all built to withstand an earthquake? That's one of the questions I put today to a well-respected structural engineer, John Cariotis. This really shows you in 30 seconds it bends this, collapses this whole thing.
Well, it probably only took 1 or 2 seconds, actually.
Well, I tell you, when you're up here, up close, you get a real sense of how powerful those 1 or 2 seconds were.
See that little ledge that sticks out?
Right.
This steel plate right there sat on that. Now, back in the days when this was built, we didn't anticipate, or nobody anticipated, you're going to have as much movement as the ground motion would cause in this.
Now, Highway 14 collapsed right down on top of Interstate 5, which is the major north-south transportation corridor. Same thing happened there?
No, that was a different situation. The problem there is actually a different kind of thing. If you notice that one case where the column was standing up, columns didn't fail, the bridge deck did.
The bridge deck did?
Bridge deck did. The bridge deck sheared off the column.
Is it a matter of design, or is it a matter of the construction, the structure?
Oh, I don't think you would find any so-called construction error in this. This is probably built in exactly the same way it was detailed on the drawings. So you have to say, what is it? Well, in a sense, it's a design error.
You drive around, it's heartbreaking, of course, but you have an apartment collapse onto a parking lot. You have a mall cave in. You have all kinds of things just buckle and give it up. Is this the price to be paid for living in Southern California?
Oh, no. Look around at the rest of it. Look around at what didn't happen. You see one building down the street that collapsed. The rest of the street's lined with buildings that have very little damage. So are we doing a good job? You're darn right we are. Because all those buildings that essentially didn't collapse was a matter of success. And many of them have no damage whatsoever.
When you see and hear all this activity behind me, it underscores that one government or another, federal or otherwise, will eventually pay to rebuild the infrastructure damaged or destroyed by the earthquake. Homeowners, on the other hand, are on their own unless they have earthquake insurance. And as correspondent Bill Whitaker reports, unfortunately, most do not.
As L.A. digs out, the magnitude of the tragedy is sinking in.
Everything's gone.
Thousands of individual tragedies adding up to one of California's worst catastrophes, already being compared to the big '89 quake in San Francisco, which caused $7 billion in damage.
We've had the fire, the flood, and now the earthquake. I guess next is the locust.
Insurance companies are gearing up to handle the flood of claims. 200 calls to this farmer's insurance office every hour.
Oh, you were looted also?
Insurance adjusters fanned out today to assess the damage and pay claims. The Sierra's house is unlivable.
Yeah, a few things got tossed around up here, I would say.
But here in Los Angeles, where waiting for the big one is a citywide pastime, less than 40% of property owners have earthquake insurance. Many claim they can't afford the premiums, about 50% more than standard homeowners. Now, thousands who lost everything realize they can't afford to replace it all.
Don't have earthquake insurance. It's too expensive to begin with.
Even those with insurance are in for an aftershock. With the standard deduction of 10%, many hard-hit homeowners still will end up paying thousands of dollars out of pocket to get back on their feet. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
You will see and hear more about the human side of this natural disaster, how people are fighting back in tonight's Eye on America. I'll be back with that story a little later in the broadcast. Connie?
Thanks, Dan. Coming up next on tonight's CBS Evening News, a political shockwave from Washington. The Clinton choice for defense secretary suddenly bows out. And the independent prosecutors report on Iran-Contra, what it says about Presidents Reagan and Bush. President Clinton's nominee for defense secretary stunned Washington today. Bobby Ray Inman suddenly withdrew. Then he gave an extraordinary account of why he was doing it. And as White House correspondent Rita Braver reports, the Clinton administration is not happy. Rita?
Connie, it is another embarrassing episode for the administration. Inman said he informed the White House of his intention to withdraw in early January, but the announcement was delayed in part because of the death of the president's mother and because of his trip to Europe. Sources here say the president spoke to Inman by telephone last night and told him that he regretted but accepted his decision.
At a news conference in Austin, Inman cited a new era of McCarthyism and blamed his withdrawal on newspaper columnists and Republicans in Congress.
Could I have been confirmed? The answer is yes. Did I want to be confirmed and go through the daily? The answer I decided was no.
Inman singled out criticism by New York Times columnist William Safire, who called Inman manipulative and deceptive. Inman claimed Safire has been after him since Inman was deputy chief of the CIA because he disliked an order Inman gave to withhold intelligence information from the government of Israel.
But from that point on, if you will trace the coverage, it's been hostile.
Inman also claimed, though he admitted he had no proof, that there was a deal between Safire and the Senate Republican leader.
There were reports, which both will probably deny, that there was a trade between Mr. Safire and Senator Dole. That if Senator Dole would turn up the heat on my nomination, that Safire would turn up the heat on Whitewater development.
Safire wouldn't comment. Dole angrily denied the charges.
I think the problem is if I didn't want the job, or maybe some other problem we don't know about. You never know when somebody withdraws.
The White House tonight would have no comment on on Inman's allegations. But some here say that Inman's performance today cast doubts on whether he should have been nominated for the job in the first place. And that in turn raises an even bigger and recurring question about the president's judgment in choosing nominees. Connie?
Rita Braver at the White House, thank you. Also in Washington, the special prosecutor's final report on the Iran-Contra investigation officially came out today. For weeks, it's been known that former Presidents Reagan and Bush were unhappy with the findings. Now, it's clear why. Correspondent Eric Engberg has the story.
Lawrence Walsh terminated his Iran-Contra investigation with slams at Presidents Reagan and Bush for allegedly covering up illegal acts, but said there was not enough evidence to prosecute either for breaking the law. Key allegations. Mr. Reagan, Walsh charged, set the stage for illegal activities by Colonel Oliver North and others. When the truth started to come out, he permitted the creation of a false account to mislead Congress and the public. Mr. Reagan today called those charges baseless. President Bush, the prosecutor reveals, told the FBI he was regularly informed about arms sales to Iran, even as he was claiming publicly he was out of the loop. Walsh condemns Mr. Bush's pardon of former Defense Secretary Weinberger, indicted for failing to hand documents over to investigators.
President Bush will always have to answer for his pardons. I think that was the most
unjustifiable act.
Once he left the White House, Mr. Bush told Walsh's prosecutors he would not answer questions about a broad range of Iran-Contra matters. Walsh then decided not to call Mr. Bush before a grand jury because the trail was now cold. The report charges former Secretary of State Schultz gave misleading testimony to Congress and that former Attorney General Meese attempted to create a false account of an arms shipment to Iran in order to protect Mr. Reagan. Meese scoffed.
He has this bitter, vitriolic report, which is kind of his last gasp of a failed investigation.
While Walsh got convictions against 14 people, he was never able to build cases against the higher-ups. He claims he was foiled by a pervasive cover-up orchestrated by the Reagan White House. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
Stay with us for much more of the CBS Evening News, including trying to make some headway against the deep Arctic freeze. It appears tonight the Citadel Military College will have to admit the first woman in its 151-year history after all. Shannon Faulkner plans to start at the South Carolina school Thursday after getting a temporary go-ahead from the U.S. Supreme Court. The Citadel is still fighting to keep Faulkner out. The school insists Faulkner will be attending as a civilian, not as a cadet. In Portland, Oregon, figure skater Tanya Harding appeared at the FBI office today to meet with the district attorney. It was the first time she's been questioned by authorities since the attack on Olympic teammate Nancy Kerrigan. Harding says she had no role in planning the attack and just wants to clear her name. Harding's bodyguard is among those charged with conspiring to arrange the attack on Kerrigan. A brutal Arctic blast has much of the country in a deep freeze tonight, with heavy snowfall and temperatures that make zero feel warm. Correspondent Frank Courier has the details.
Chicago's daytime high of 12 below made this the coldest day in Windy City history.
It feels cold, real cold.
It's an old-fashioned Chicago winter.
With water freezing instantly, firemen had to struggle with ice-caked hose. Frozen hydrants thawed open with a torch.
The ice does insulate you a little bit. That's one good thing about it.
From winter-glazed Washington, D.C. to sub-zero Nebraska, 4 days of brutal weather is blamed for 25 deaths. Here in Cleveland, a child was killed when deep snow caused this roof to collapse. Overnight, Minneapolis plunged to minus 32 and the governor has closed down schools statewide. In North Dakota, extraordinary wind chills dropped to 92 below. And in Madison, Wisconsin, record lows took a toll on car batteries.
She's frozen solid.
The polar cold rushed in behind a snowstorm that dumped up to 21 inches across Kentucky. The National Guard was called, and so too a state of emergency. With major highways closed, truckers stalled, and motorists stranded in shelters.
The snow is so deep, your car acts like a snowplow.
What some are calling the chill of a lifetime should ease by week's end, and the Midwest tomorrow should feel a comparative warm-up, forecasters say, with daytime highs soaring all the way to zero. Frank Courier, CBS News, Chicago.
The only intersection in Corrigan, Texas was the scene today of a freak accident that left 3 people dead. A tractor-trailer carrying auto parts hit a car, and then both vehicles careened into the gas pumps of a convenience store. The massive explosion that followed killed 2 men in the tractor-trailer and a woman in the car. In a moment, we'll go back to Dan in Los Angeles for more about the earthquake. But first, a look at Wall Street, where trading was heavy and the Dow finished the day right where it began.
It's not over yet here in Southern California. The ground still shakes every few minutes, a continuing reminder of the tremendous power of the earth. The power that moved mountains and toppled buildings also brought our city closer together. Correspondent Bob McNamara reports on California's comeback heart for tonight's Eye on America.
It is a city of separate cities, divided by color and culture and cash. Yesterday morning, in an instant, some of the differences dissolved.
It just shook and shook and shook.
Violently shaken. Suddenly, everyone spoke the same language.
Yeah, it was shaking so hard.
Up and down, just bam, 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 bam.
It shook so much. I cried out, oh God.
By sunrise, most people here cared about the same things.
Don't move.
Often, it seemed, They cared most about each other.
I don't know, I lose my mind this morning because I can't, it's awful.
It seems like this last year and a half, it's been the worst of everything. The worst riots, the worst fires, and now an earthquake. And what's next? What's next?
This is our place right now. As long as I said we have a family around here, it's okay.
For Oscar Andretti and his 6 children, home for now is a city park.
We are here with the family, and that's the most important thing, you know.
Like veterans grown accustomed to calamity, they line up for the basics.
Water. Water so I can wash my face and brush my teeth and drink.
And they poke fun at their fate.
It's the price you pay for good weather, I guess.
Comparing notes on how to survive this crisis.
Well, it doesn't matter how much money you have or where you live in a crisis. People get mobilized to just share everything and help everybody else out.
It was a quake felt not just in one part of the city, but by everyone.
I mean, we share the exact same space, so anything that happens to all of us.
Another division in this divided city that's brought it perhaps briefly together. In Los Angeles, Bob McNamara for Eye in America.
Without missing a beat, Angelenos pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and start over again. Part of our world tonight. Stay with this CBS station for all the latest on the recovery effort here in Southern California. Paul Azan and Harry Smith will have a complete update first thing tomorrow on CBS This Morning. And I'll be back here live with more tomorrow evening on the CBS Evening News.
Thank you for joining us. Good night, Dan.
Good night, Connie. Good night, everyone.